Let me welcome in my first guest, President of Judicial Watch, Tom Fitton. Tom, good to see you.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me.
All right, Tom, we have a lot happening here. Now the president's going to be going down to the border. Unconfirmed reports on social media are saying the site will be McAllen, Texas. You interface with the White House often. Tom, do you think the president is going to stand firm here? Is he going to keep the government shut down until the Democrats budge on a wall?
Well, I hope so. The nation needs a wall on the border as one of the basics of securing the border. So it may not be sufficient in the end, but it certainly is necessary for any effective border security. And if the president doesn't get a wall now, he's not going to get it. So this is his last chance to get a wall built this term. So it's politically, I think it would be smart for him to continue to stand firm here. And it's important, and it's always good for him to go to the border because that's the front line of a security threat that goes to the heart of our nation here. And we have an unsecure border. Anyone can walk across the border for hundreds of miles without much in the way of impediment from any law enforcement. So it's urgent that he take the steps necessary to secure the border. And frankly, if I were advising the president, I'd tell him not to wait for a wall, that he should order the military to secure the border immediately.
All right, Tom, the president's going to call a press conference, or he has announced a press conference at 9 p.m. tomorrow night. What do you think we're going to hear?
Well, I hope he highlights the dire national security threat caused by an unsecure border. We have the threat caused by human smuggling, the drug cartel threat, and the national security threat, where you have an unholy mix of Islamic radicals working with the cartels on the border to bring people across. There's no doubt that's happening. Judicial Watch investigations have disclosed that's a major concern of law enforcement at the border, and it continues to be a concern, I would hope, of this administration. And I think that is reflected on the urgency of at least having a wall there, so that that type of infiltration is prevented.
Tom, do you think the Democrats care? That's really my question. There was that exchange a few days back between Homeland Security Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen and Speaker Nancy Pelosi, in which Nielsen said, look, we've had interactions with about 7,000 potential terrorists, 3,000 potential terrorists at the border, 17,000 potential criminals. Pelosi said, I reject your facts. Nielsen shot back, they're not my facts, those are the facts. So when you've got the Democratic Speaker of the House rejecting data from the Department of Homeland Security, well, to me anyway, that indicates that Pelosi doesn't want to hear it. She's not going to budge.
No, I think politically, Democrats have aligned with the radical left that wants open borders. There are too many Republicans who don't care about a wall either. But politically right now, Democrats are standing firmly no, in the no corner on this. We'll see how long that holds up, depending how long this government shutdown lasts. But I tell you, the American people need to make their voices known on this. And if you haven't called your members of Congress or the Senate, you should, because they're relying on the Washington media to provide them cover. But the voters need to hold them directly accountable, and you've got to communicate your views with your representatives if you want anything to change.
Now, let's talk about the legality of what the president's proposing. The president's saying that he might declare a national emergency, and one Democratic congressman appears to agree with him. Congressman Adam Smith, he tweeted, and I think we have a copy of that, we have a graphic of that tweet. Let me read what he tweeted. He tweeted, yes, there is a provision in the law that says a president can declare an emergency. It's been done a number of times. No doubt, but let's get our deal done Trump tweeted this, I'm sorry, about Congressman Adam Smith. No doubt, but let's get our deal done in Congress. My apologies. There's the tweet from the president. Tom, legally speaking, can the president declare a national emergency and use those funds, tap emergency funds, to begin securing the border, building a wall, et cetera?
Well, as the Democratic leader admitted on TV yesterday, of course he can. And so what will happen is that Congress may try to intervene. That probably won't work because it should be recalled the Democrats only control one half of Congress. So they'll rely on the courts to try to intervene to prevent the president from protecting our security. And who knows with the anti-Trump courts how that might turn out. But the president has got to take strong steps to secure the border. And as I said, if Congress doesn't want to provide money for a wall, he can either declare a national emergency or issue a 3-word order to the Joint Chiefs of Staff, secure the border.
Secure the border. All right, let's listen to Senator Lindsey Graham on this same issue. And do we have, there he is.
Why would you negotiate with somebody who calls you a racist if you want a wall, who gives you $1 for a wall when the Democratic Party has supported $25 billion in the past? We're not going to negotiate with people who see the world this way. We'll negotiate with Dick Durbin, but I'm not going to negotiate with somebody who calls the Border Patrol agents a bunch of Nazis when they're trying to defend the border against a mob.
You know, Tom, Senator Graham's got a real point there. I mean, the Democrats seem to default to you're a racist, you're a xenophobe, whenever conservatives make a substantive policy argument as to why a wall is needed. How do you debate with that?
Well, and also, importantly, Senator Graham highlights the fact that you have many leftists and the media not just attacking the idea of a wall, but attacking basic law enforcement measures on the border as it is, with the ICE agents and Customs and Border Patrol agents trying to defend themselves and calling them, as Senator Graham pointed out, the worst of the worst in terms of names. So when you hear the left saying they want border security, it's hard to tell what border security they support, because they don't even support the security that's taking place now.
All right, Tom, I want to move on and talk about a Judicial Watch lawsuit in California, most specifically Los Angeles County. 1.5 million are going to be removed from the voter rolls. Apparently they weren't eligible to vote. In about the minute and a half we have, explain what this lawsuit was all about and what the end result means.
Well, Judicial Watch and its other clients sued LA County in California over their failure to remove invalid voter registrations as federal law requires. And they just settled the lawsuit. So LA County in the lease will remove up to 1.5 million invalid registrations, which means these are people who are either dead or moved away. Neither LA or California generally has removed any names in the last 20 years. So this is a remarkable victory. It means that in California, you'll have cleaner elections, and it means nationwide, we've got this great precedent to encourage or maybe sue other states over in terms of getting them to remove names that shouldn't be there as federal law requires. We need clean elections, and dirty election rolls means dirty elections potentially.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you. During discovery in this lawsuit, was there any indication that illegals were using these identities and voting?
No, we didn't have any indication of that. We had indication that you had 1.5 million names on the rolls that shouldn't have been there or should have been removed. In fact, over 500,000 of them have been there for longer than 10 years with no activity. So these are names that need to be removed. But you raise an important concern. When you've got many, in LA County's case, 1.5 million names of people who moved away or may be dead, obviously that's a recipe for fraud. And that's why it's important to remove these names to take away that temptation to engage in voter fraud.
All right, Tom Fitton, president of Judicial Watch. Tom, thanks very much for your time today.
Hey, you're welcome. Thank you for having me.